All right. Mr. Grindstaff, next item. This is 4B, I believe.
Yes.
Members, you've got staff.
Have you completed your legal
4B.
update, Chris?
I believe I have.
So
if I didn't, though, say what the decision actually held, it actually held in favor of giving the Department of Interior more discretion as to what they charged against that 800,000 acre-foot dedication amount was. And so that was seen as a victory for environmentalists, and the salmon doubling requirement that's also included in the
statutory requirement.
Statutory requirement, federal requirement. So complex issues, but frustration on both sides, absolutely.
Okay. 4B, Mr.
Put this
Chairman.
in context so we understand why we're having communications with the Sacramento Area Council of Governments.
Yes, in the law, the Delta Reform Act, there is an exemption from the requirement for consistency determinations for entities that actually develop an air quality management program that complies with state law. And the law calls for those kinds of programs to coordinate with us to make sure that what they're doing is consistent with where we're going, but exempts them and their agencies from covered action decisions following the adoption of that plan. And I've short-circuited what's a fairly complex process. We have been in touch with them. We've had several meetings with them. They actually sent us a draft of their plan. We reviewed it, and we found that it's actually a pretty good plan and is consistent with the direction that the Delta plan is headed. And if we had the Delta plan in effect today, that plan would be fully consistent, and therefore the exemption that's written into the law, once that plan's adopted, would take effect. So it actually seemed to be a pretty good plan. And so that's the intent of the letter that that Cindy here sent back to the COG.
This is not the first, but it's one of a few of our consultations with local government that appear to reflect the informal process we set up in 2010 when we adopted our, what do we call them, Chris, the administrative rules. We set up, as the statute required us to do, some kind of prior consultation, a discussion process, and I guess I'd gotten contacted by SACOG and referred them over to Joe and staff because they were in the middle of doing this. They wanted to know what could possibly happen. They certainly wanted to tell us that they were going to be exempt, but since they hadn't completed their plan, they weren't quite exempt then, and it just made sense to start having discussions, and I think you've had 3, 4, 5 sets of meetings leading to this letter. And this letter is probably not a bad illustration of what a preliminary staff review would look like of some voluntary consultation, predetermination on consistency.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, are there questions? Okay. Don.
So this is not just a draft, though. It was already sent, right?
Yes, this letter was sent.
It says draft on the stamp, so this was actually transmitted in February. Is that right? Because ours is all, the copy we have is stamped. I mean, it's big, large, bold letter says draft.
No, that was the draft is to the next item, C. This was 4B.
No, actually, it says draft in.
It does
right
say, I'm sorry, on the front. Okay,
it was.
You're right.
And actually, if you look at it, there's a typo in one of these. So we accidentally included an early version or almost final version rather than the final version. But it's almost exactly the same as the final version.
I just wanted to be clear.
Yes.
I understood what you just said, that it had been sent. And
it has been sent.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Randy.
Just one comment. I wanted to compliment Cindy on the letter. I thought it was very well done.
There you are.